So it's not like a trite sort of like strap line to go, everyone's a leader. It's a really deep understanding and recognition for me that leadership happens in micro moments of every day in conversations, and that is what we're trying to nurture and grow here, which is really fundamental to the work. If you're trying to grow a movement for movement, then you need to unlock contribution, participation, leadership in every bit of our system, in every community across Greater Manchester. And in order to do that, like with integrity, you have to deeply know that there is leadership is a trait in every single person. And my dad still, last week taught me something about leadership, because although he has never been in a leadership role as a lorry driver, he held a mirror up to something that I was talking about, and we had a little exchange, and I took what he was telling me, and then I've learned something from it, and now that's leadership. So yeah, I don't know if that's where your question was intended to go, but I think that there are models of leadership, aren't there, and all sorts of books written about it and whatever. But I think for me, it sort of goes back to the point you made earlier about authenticity. And if we just stripped out some of that noise and allowed ourselves to be human and tap back into the source, if you like, in terms of who we are as human beings, I think it comes very naturally to people to lead. If we're not holding back or putting barriers in our own way, and I've seen this a lot, have seen it a lot over my career, like people stepping back, not speaking up. This happened yesterday. Somebody saying, I don't think that needs to be said in this room, or who am I to say it anyway? You know what I mean? Like, it happens in micro moments where people hold themselves back from the leadership that's actually needed in the world, whereas other people who see themselves as a leader, who own that as identity, have positional power and authority, occupy the space. And what I'm trying to do is unlock, particularly in those people who don't see themselves as leaders. That potential for change is huge if we were to do that, including children in sports clubs, to go back to the sporting example.
Yeah. You capture it really well in there's a line that I just took away, which was you said, like, leadership is a practice, not a position. And I think that's really important, in the sense that it's required to be inhabited, in all of us. You don't have to have, like you say, you don't have to have positional power or hierarchy in order to be deemed a leader. Like you say, you can be a leader within your family, within your community, within your group of friends, and leadership is not, and this is, there's a few phrases that I learned from you, and these are almost like mantras that I think you use as a way to help people. I guess they're like clever reminders that people can use as a way of help them navigate through difficulty and challenge. And like, one of them that I use all the time is laying the road as we walk together. And the reason I like that is because it speaks to me about how I see leadership, which is, I'm not in front, I'm not behind, we're alongside. But I don't necessarily know the way, but I know that together we'll find a way. And so that, I've loved that mantra ever since I heard it, and I've held on to it all the time. Probably you will have had it heard on this podcast, and the 240 episodes that I've done several times. You probably all have a royalty or something. But my point being is that, and I that really resonates in terms of just your opener around how you see leadership. And you use a really great quote from Brené Brown, which I really like, which I was just going to read because I've got it over here on the screen. It says, I define a leader as anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes, and who has the courage to develop that potential. That would be that. If I'd read that previously, I'd have had that as my tagline for the flipping podcast. But yeah, that just brings it to life perfectly.
Yeah, she's brilliant, Brené Brown, and she's brilliant with words, but there's such a depth of, like, data and evidence and in her work